Hey guys, welcome back to another video. If you're like me, you probably grew up watching wrestling, or you probably still enjoy wrestling now, and even then enjoy playing wrestling on video games. So today we're gonna customize a controller with a Hardy Boys design on it. It's the character that they always use, and so let's go ahead and get started. I think this guy is ready to... Nope, he's not ready to work. Yep, I think he's just gonna lay there. So this shell has been originally either wrapped or it looks like some sort of hydro dip, because the material looks very... I don't know, it's wrapped really good and it's very thin, so I think it was hydro dip. But it's a very durable I guess like material that's on there, so we're just gonna sand it off and work off of that base. So we're gonna sand it really good. So these buttons need to be purple, so we gotta spray them, and it's kind of difficult to hold each individual button, so I'm gonna glue those on a popsicle stick, and makes it easier for me to, you know, hold and airbrush a few at the same time. Alright, so everything has been sanded, the front and the back, so all we gotta do is just give it a little wipe with alcohol. Just try to get rid of all the little oil fingerprints that I left on there. This is why I'm using the rubber glove. This way I don't put any more oil on the thing, you know. So let's go ahead and prime it and use Autoborn sealer again and try to seal everything that's already been done to the controller. This way it doesn't lift. So the trigger on my airbrush was getting stuck. I think it needed a little bit of lubrication, because it would once I pulled it back, it would kind of get stuck like that, and then you know, the Autoborn sealer would just start spraying without me actually pulling the trigger back. So as soon as I pressed it down, it was just shooting. So I wanted obviously more control, so I wanted to make sure it was running properly. So I put a little bit of oil on the back there and on the inside tray to make sure that trigger wouldn't get stuck. So just like anything, we have to have a good primer and a good base coat to start off, you know, to have a little nice base to start working off of. So we're gonna lay down a base white, and I added a little bit of Autoborn sealer onto the white paint. This way it's, you know, a little bit more sticky, and it's more durable. So it's not a lot, it's a few drops, but it definitely will help down the road. So I'm just using fluorescent green, which is straight out of the bottle. I'm just gonna add a little bit of autoborne sealer so it becomes a little bit stiffer, and it sticks more and it's more durable. And also add a little bit of water. This way it's easier to shoot. This green reminds me of a lowrider bike that I created a long time ago, and it wasn't as bright as this, but it was a nice like Kelly green bike, and it was a lowrider. Had the fork and everything. I had pictures, but I just can't find them, and I wanted to show you guys. So there's a lot of projects that I've done in the past, and I kind of want to go back and create kind of like a back in time, like a kind of showing all the different stuff that I've done, and hopefully you guys get an idea of the type of things that I can do. So that'll be kind of fun to do in the next few videos. There I go, dropping my airbrush again. You know what, I get so used to like putting the airbrush back on its little holder that sometimes like I get too cocky and I just kind of like throw it on there, but I'm like either to the left of the holder or to the right of the holder, and the whole thing just falls. So I gotta go and clean my mess, make sure that the airbrush is not damaged, or the needle in front, otherwise it's gonna start shooting all over the place. So it's really frustrating, but hey, what are you gonna do? It happens. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. So let's go ahead and use a little bit of purple, and now we're gonna shoot the buttons there. So of course I have them on a stick, and it's easier for me to handle. And yeah, I'm gonna try to put very light coats around the edge or the sides of the buttons, because I don't want that to be too heavy, because obviously they need to fit in the the controller holes, and it has to go up and down. So I'm going to use a little bit of autoborne sealer and mix all that together with a little popsicle stick, and we're going to go heavy on the top portion of the button, but not on the sides. So what I did off camera is I added one layer of clear coat to both sides of the controller, and that kind of helps me seal that green in there. This way it kind of protects it. But now, in order for me to be able to apply additional graphics to it, I have to re-sand it again. So I want to go back and knock off the gloss and get it ready for me to be able to apply graphics to it. So I'm gonna utilize this time and literally try to go on the entire controller and knock off as much gloss that I can, and that's gonna be on the front and the back as well, because I'm gonna be adding more layers of gloss to the back as well. So right now I'm gonna wipe it off again with a little bit of alcohol and then start applying my graphics. So if you're using traditional just acrylic paint, it's not going to take you that long to cover that white area, but I'm using airbrush paint and it tends to be a little bit thinner, and it's going to take me a little bit longer time and more layers to really make that purple stand out. Because right now, as you see it now, it looks kind of washed out, and that's because there's a lot of water in it. So I don't have the purple that I wanted, and I do have it in this format, so I know that's real bright, so I'm just gonna use that and go with it. And I'm okay putting a lot of layers down, so it'll give it a little vibe as well too, because it'll kind of look kind of washed out but not really, and it tends to look more like paint, so I'm gonna go with that process. Once I let this dry, I'm gonna come back with a little bit of autoborne sealer and kind of mist the whole area there of the purple. This way it kind of protects it, and I can start laying down my stencils, and it doesn't pull the paint when I remove the stencil. So as I go through each layer, I'm trying to protect it with autoborne sealer. Don't put too much of it because it's not completely clear, so it's just a good enough amount where it protects it, and that's it. Let's measure the controller and see roughly what size our stencil is going to be. So I'm going to take that measurement and cut my stencil. Obviously I took it in Illustrator and converted it into outline, so I'm able to cut it out. So let's go ahead and do that. And while that's cutting out, I'm gonna put another layer of clear on the back, and I'm gonna start I already cleared the buttons, so I'm gonna take them out of the little stick and clear or clean off any residue that's on the back side of the little buttons there. So right now what I'm doing is I'm trying to locate the head and where the foot is on the stencil. This way I can kind of properly locate it on the controller itself, and I want to make sure that it's sitting right. So I can't really see the shape of the character, so this, I mean, I can go back in there and kind of draw it out with the marker, but I don't need to. I'll just mark the reference areas like the foot and the head. This way I know where it's going to sit. Okay, that looks pretty good. This particular material is not that flexible, so you can apply a little bit of heat and get it to kind of soften up. This way you can press it down in the shape that you need it. So right now I'm going through all the edges, making sure there's no little opening, otherwise some of the paint can sneak down there and kind of ruin your stencil. So I'm gonna apply a little bit of waterborne sealer in white, and this way I have a nice base to work off of. So I continue having issues with my trigger. Obviously it needs to be cleaned, but I don't have time to clean it right now, so I just took this old bottle and added some compressor oil and kind of used that because it had a real fine tip, so it kind of helped me apply a little bit of oil on that trigger. So obviously you want to have your stuff clean, but I've been doing a lot of work, continuous work, so I haven't had time to completely take the airbrush apart and clean it, which I should be doing that shortly here in a few days. Alright, so the majority of the white's already on there, so I wanted to also add a little bit of peach on there for the face and kind of like the arms. I'm just going to be general and just kind of drop it in there. This way it's easier for me to paint later on. I'm not being too specific of where it lands, because obviously you know, we can cover it with the additional paint and stuff like that. So alright, so my base of white is done. I'm going to apply a little bit of waterborne sealer to seal all that stuff together with the background. This way I don't have any issues when I apply this second stencil. So allow this to dry and let's go ahead and move forward. I'll remove the positive areas from the stencil. This way I can see through it and kind of helps me align it down onto the controller. I know it's not going to be perfect, and it's okay because I'm gonna go back with black paint and finalize obviously the edges and stuff like that, so it looks nice. So right now I'm just trying to get it as close as possible. This way I can start laying down kind of like the you know, the black on there, so we can get the shape of it. Sometimes you run into problems that are just like so simple and basic. You're like, it's just one of those days that things keep happening and you're not sure if this is gonna finish well. But in this case, right now, I put down some black with a little bit of waterborne sealer, and for some reason it was just too clear. I'm like, what's going on? So, and I kept looking at the little cup, and it looked black. I'm like, maybe I have too much waterborne sealer, I don't know. So I kept drying, kept spraying. I'm like, where's the black? Like, why isn't it black? Like, I couldn't understand. And as you can see, like I'm spraying, and it keeps coming out. Slowly it's turning black, but it's more like washed out gray and clear gray. And I'm like, what's going on with the black? Like, it's not coming out. Here again, I tried it again, and I'm like, what's going on? It's still not black enough. It's more watered. And I'm thinking to myself, like, what? Yeah, at this point I'm kind of like have already gone through the paint that's on the little airbrush cup, and I'm like, what's going on? It looks black, but it's shooting like this. I'm like, it was so dumb and so simple. I forgot to shake the bottle before I put the paint in the cup. So obviously all the pigment is on the bottom of the bottle, so I shook it. I sprayed everything that's on that little cup, sprayed it out, and created a new batch. And as you can see now, it's going to spray nice and black. So it's just like sometimes you have those brain farts that that you don't even know if you're coming or going. You're just like, what's going on? Like things are falling, and it's just kind of frustrating. But hey, you know what? At the end of the day, you know, hopefully you finish the job and try to get through it. And of course, you know, life is not easy, like we said. So it's okay. You just gotta keep going. All right, we just finished shooting that, so let's go ahead and get rid of all that tape and the stencil before the black completely dries, because otherwise when you remove that stencil, everything is going to peel off along with it, including that black paint that you just added. So try to remove it as soon as you're done. This way you don't have any issues down the road. And of course that auto-borne sealer is really strong, so it's going to stick on your controller and it's going to stick on that masking tape. So when you try to obviously separate those two, something's gonna give, and more than likely it's gonna rip part of your art from the controller. So make sure you do it when it's wet. There's far more little details in that stencil, and it's taking a little bit longer, so I'm just gonna fast forward the camera. This way we get it done sooner. And yeah, let's go ahead and continue with the controller. We're almost done with this controller. We need a few more materials because I'm out of small thin brushes. So let's go to the store and get some. So I didn't get that much stuff. I just ended up getting these real fine oil-based paint markers and real fine brushes. So it was a total of like 25 bucks and long overdue. So went over there and picked those up. So let's go ahead and continue with this project. So once again, we ran into another issue with this controller. I was trying to lay down some of the green, and I let that dry and went back to try to lay down a second layer. And as soon as I was laying down the second layer, the first layer was coming off with the paint. You can see it there on the leg, and I was like, what's going on? Now the auto-borne sealer is really good at helping the acrylic, you know, stick, and that's what was laid over, you know, the entire section there. So I don't know if I allowed that to completely dry too much or what, because it wasn't well, obviously the green that I have on there doesn't have auto-borne sealer, so I'm like, maybe I have to use auto-borne sealer with the brush as well to see if it'll stick. So I tried that, and it was a little bit frustrating there because it still wouldn't stick. So I had to think of something else to do. Oh, here's another problem. I'm trying to do a voiceover, and the trash is here. Ay. Oh yeah. Alright, let's carry on. So what I'm thinking is I'm gonna, since it has a little bit of auto-borne sealer and it's completely dry, I'm gonna come back and sand lightly that area. This way it has a little bit of coarse surface for that paint to be able to stick on there. And I'm also going to mix a little bit of auto-borne sealer in my color. This way it sticks for sure. So, and I'm gonna be drying with the hair dryer with each layer of paint that I put on there. So hopefully that works, and yeah, let's try to finally finish this project. So let's get it done. Alright, so it does seem that adding a little bit of auto-borne sealer helps it a little bit. It's just kind of weird. I never had that issue before. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's because it's a new brush or it's too watered down or something. Anyways, I added a little bit of auto-borne sealer to all my different colors, and they're obviously sticking now. So I'm just running through each section and applying the color to its corresponding area. So all my coloring is done in all the different areas that it needs to be. So now I'm gonna come back with this black oil-based paint marker, and I'm gonna trace and clean up all the black areas. So let's go ahead and do that now. This is gonna be a fun little section here. And I tell you what, that black really, you know, binds everything together and makes it look really good. So I'm glad I bought these paints. And the only issue is I'm hoping the clear will clear over it, because it's supposed to be oil based. So, and nothing sticks to oil. So we'll see if it sticks or not. Just as a security, I'm gonna throw a layer of auto-borne sealer just in case nothing sticks to that oil paint for the black. So once it dries, I'm gonna lay a little bit of auto-borne sealer and then let that dry, and then completely clear the controller. Alright, and there you go, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoy this video. Let me know what you guys think of the controller in the comments below. If you guys have any questions, you always can hit me up on Instagram. I customize just about anything, and if you have a business and need promotional products, I can customize those as well. So hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video, and let me know what you guys want to see in this channel. So take it easy for now. Bye.